TV. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the closing action on the D Street, starting from the benchmark index moves to sectoral action and all the stocks that are buzzing the most in trade. Also, we'll get you the expert views on how should you be really strategizing your own investments in equities as of now. But first up, a quick check on how the markets are doing at this point in time. Well, it's been a good day so far for the markets as we inch closer to the closing of the day. About 0.9% of an up move is what you can see on both the benchmarks, the Nifty and the Sensex. 18,247 currently for the Nifty, 61,722 for the Sensex. That's up by over 533 points, and it's a broad-based rally that you're really looking at in terms of the markets. The big contributors to the gains today are coming in from the financial pack. Bajaj Finance up 3.5%. Apart from that, it's Adani Enterprises, the life insurance majors, SBI Life, HDFC Life, both up in trade as well. Apart from this, you also see HDFC that's reported its numbers, and post that we are seeing a 2.7% uptick on this one as well. Bajaj Finserv, BPCL, some of these other gainers that are really on top of the charts as far as the Nifty is concerned. On the other hand, if you see the top losers, they are far and few between. You can actually see about some stocks coming in from the consumption basket like Nestle, Tata Consumer Products, slightly down in trade. UPL is declining by about 1% odd. You do have IndusInd Bank, Tata Motors, ITC, the other laggards at this point in time. So slight losses in the FMCG pack, in the power majors as well. Some counters from the auto basket that are also declining. But otherwise, it's a great day for the markets so far. Let's welcome our guest on the show, Mr. Abhijit Paul joins in. He's a founder, mentor at Mentorship. Welcome, Abhijit, and thank you so much for taking the time out for this discussion. Your own thoughts on how the markets are really doing at this point in time. It's been a good day so far after yesterday's a little bit of pause after that 8-day run. We are again seeing some bounce on the markets. Your own thoughts on what is leading to this fresh move on the markets, and can it be sustained? Abhijit, if you could just unmute yourself, please.
There you go. Sakshi, hi, good afternoon. Well, it's a great day, if you ask me, because the market's surprise move, and especially the move that we see right in front of us, a little less than 30 minutes left for the day's trade, and we are about to close at the highest point of the day for the both the Nifty as well as the Bank Nifty. And as you rightly said, that this move is supported by that pocket of the market which matters the most. The maximum weightage comes in from the banking and the financial stocks, and they have completely led the market to today from the front. Not to forget, the HDFC twins have done pretty good. So if I'm not wrong, the Bank Nifty is shy of its all-time high by a percent and a half. So I don't see any reason why the index will not extend that little bit and post a new lifetime high just to make us cheer a little more. So looks good, and I hope the rally will continue further.
Okay, so between the Nifty and the Nifty Bank, where would you advise investors to be in this current momentum?
Well, from a short-term trader's point of view, it becomes a little difficult because, as you said, the index has already run up quite a bit over the last 7 to 8 days. So from a risk-reward point of view, we might land up, entering a trade slightly higher, and the stop loss will be slightly deep. Now, this point is completely from a short-term trader's point of view. But if you ask me from a medium to a long-term investor's point of view, then there are some pockets. IT being one which is completely beaten down. One can look at it. TCS, HCL Tech, and Infi looks good. And apart from that, within the top Nifty 50 stocks, Asian Paints can be an interesting one. The crude factor is playing out really well there. And apart from that, I think amongst the metals, Tata Steel looks interesting. Make or break for the stock this month. Reliance Industries is also one stock which I sense should support the index going forward.
Okay, a few stocks which are beaten down and have not performed, perhaps buying dips is going to be a better strategy for the investors at this point in time. But you did point out that, it's the financials that are really hogging the limelight today, and they are taking the markets to all-time, today's high point as well. When we talk about HDFC, that has also come out with its earnings, and we can see a sharp spike post the earnings as well. So the net profit for the March quarter for HDFC has actually risen 19.5% at 4,425 crores. it has also declared a dividend of 44 rupees per equity share as well. The total revenues from operations for the company has also climbed 35%. So robust set of numbers coming in from the poster boy of the financial services names. Your own thoughts on the earnings and going forward, at 28.59 with a 22.5% surge, is it still a buy after the earnings?
Well, it's a buy depending on what kind of time frame the person has in mind. From a short-term trader's point of view, I won't suggest that because we can clearly see and understand the fact that the market is a little stretched from a short-term point of view. But at 28.58, if you're getting on board, then I should say that one should keep in back of his mind that there is a possibility of a pullback further down. I think this particular move that we have for HDFC in front of us, essentially the move came when it took out that 2700, 2725 mark. So any kind of a pullback should find support in this zone, 2700 to 2730. So if someone is waiting to buy on a dip, I think sub 2750, one should put an alert and look at 2730 kind of zone. If you want to chase this market, then as I said, probably we'll be landing or buying a little higher. Looks good. The next stop should be 3K.
Okay. Apart from HDFC, which are the other financial names on top of your radar?
Well, interestingly, one financial stocks which had got beaten down pretty much was Bajaj Finance. Now, right from its highs of September 22, it had come down all the way down to 5,600 in the month of March this year. What we see on the charts is a prospective good-looking breakout on the cards, and that will require the stock to move above 6450. And this pattern breakout is close to, let's say, 800 points, which should take the stock towards that 7200. Now, this pattern and this stocks that we had right now about Bajaj Finance is from a medium-term to long-term point of view. As I said earlier, and I'll reiterate from a short-term trader's point of view, this is not the right time to chase the market. 6200 is the short-term support. But if we get that 6400 big breakout for next couple of quarters, that stock, which was completely beaten down over the last couple of 2 to 3 quarters, should pick up momentum for the financial pack.
Okay. You did briefly mention that Reliance Industries should support the market momentum going forward, and Reliance Industries is also in news because of its demerger of Jio Financial Services that we can now expect perhaps later in the year as well. So there are some reports that suggest September, October is the time when we could expect a listing right there. But the shareholders and creditors approval in line, and the shareholders can now expect a 1 share for the existing 1 share they're holding for Reliance Industries. But with the kind of foray that is now going to be taking in the listed space, it's going to be a very interesting space to watch out for. Already we have these heavyweights who've been ruling the space for a long time. With the coming of Reliance Jio Financial Services, how do you really expect investors to really maneuver through the kind of investments they already have in this space?
Well, Reliance, of course, is a blue-eyed boy, and I don't think there's anyone serious in the Indian markets who will not have this stock in their portfolio. Yeah. But let's first talk from a slightly longer-term perspective. The stock actually has not done much since October 21. It's been oscillating within a very wide range. From a trading point of view, it's been fine. It's been moving, giving those swings up and down. But if you take a look at what it was trading at in October 21 was around 2700, we're at 2450. It's not given that kind of returns if someone had patiently held on to it. But right now, with the markets inching close to their all-time highs, Reliance definitely is one stock that looks interesting from here on. The breakout came above 2350, so any kind of surprise move on the downside, if it happens, should find support at 2350. And if this move continues further, then I think this should take us close to that 2580, 2600 mark. But the long-term range, which I mentioned some time back, that range breakout needs to happen above 2800. So that's significantly away from the CMP, from the current price. From a short-term point of view, from an immediate point of view, I think 2500, the round number, and then another 100 points ahead, 2600 to keep in mind for Reliance.
Okay. Since we are talking about the financial services space only, I wanted to just take this one step ahead and ask you about the banking names as well. We have seen that the PSU banks really outperformed private sector banks in the recent run-up. But again, there are some turbulence happening in the aviation space that is linking some PSU banks and their exposure to go first. Overall speaking, what is your own sense of how should one be really looking at the PSU banking space right now? After the recent run-up, is there still any scope that one can continue to hold on to the stocks that they have, or perhaps look at fresh exposure there, or do you think the rally is done and dusted for now?
Well, Sakshi, within the PSU banking space, I've been always a big fan of State Bank of India. Means always my belief that one should focus more on this stock rather than any other within that pocket. So SBI definitely doing good. We have a pretty good move from the stock over the last, I think, 6 weeks now. Holding well. Yesterday's little bit of glitch on the downside have led to a pretty nice bounce back. It looks like 600 definitely on the cards. But I think PSU Bank might get a little tired, and we can see the shift coming back to the private sector banks. HDFC Duo, we just spoke some time back. HDFC Bank is doing really good. But if I have to stick my neck out and probably name one private sector bank, I would probably go with ICICI Bank.
Okay, SBI is a top pick from the PSU banking space and ICICI as a top pick from the private banking space beyond the financial services space that one can expect. What about the auto sector names? You know, we did see some momentum for some of the stocks, at least like M&M was definitely one of the stocks that really outperformed the others for sure. How are you looking at this entire basket? Do you still feel that some of the stocks should be on investors' radar even now?
Well, within the auto, if I break it down into two-wheelers and four-wheelers, two-wheelers and especially Bajaj Auto was phenomenal. I think that's one stock which gave a beautiful move on the upside, and you cannot ignore the fact that the weight has moved up. Yes, it is stretched and doesn't make sense to chase the stock at 44.59 what it's trading now. But in case we get a dip in Bajaj Auto close to that 4200 mark, not a bad level to buy on a dip. Now, amongst the four-wheelers, in fact, a couple of weeks to 3 weeks back, I was very closely watching the CNX Auto Index chart, and it was looking a little wobbly. Looked like it's not going to hold. And Maruti was one stock which led to that short-term dip, but it has bounced back also really well. But within the four-wheeler pack, I would say Tata Motors can be an extremely interesting play. Not from just a short-term point of view, but if you have, let's say, 4 to 6 quarters in your hand, then can be a very, very interesting play. 525 to 550 is a very crucial level on the upside. It's holding pretty well at 480, but four-wheelers, I think I'll go with Tata Motors.
4 years or so, if you have a long-term vision, then Tata Motors from the auto basket is what you could really watch out for. Interestingly, wanted to understand how are you looking at the mid and the small cap areas as well. Do you see that this is a space that investors should start nibbling into right now, and any particular sectors or stocks that you may be watching out from this particular space?
Well, investors will always nibble here and there wherever they find opportunities, right? Be it small or mid caps. But good to see that this particular move of the market has been broad-based, and it's not just only linked to just few sectors which matter to the index.
Correct.
We can look at the chemicals. I just spoke about crude some time back, and that will definitely have an impact on those companies where it works as a raw material. So you can look at the paint stocks, you can look at the other chemical names also. Asian Paints can be a very interesting play from a medium-term to long-term point of view. It had come down quite a bit and formed a base and now bouncing back. Amongst the cements, Ultrachem, ACC, Ambuja, Shrichem, these are the names that I generally track, but I think Ultrachem happens to have the best chart. A few other names which cannot be directly linked to any of the sectors. Let's say, for example, you can look at something like the defense space, where Hindustan Aeronautics is at all-time highs, holding really well, and that's a beautiful stock one can look to buy on a dip. So there are few chart structures which have established themselves, and I think are pretty stable for an investor who would like to buy and hold for a significant span of time.
All right. With that, thank you so much, Abhijit, for being with us on the show and discussing these insights about the markets, the various pockets that we've discussed, and how should investors be approaching these investments in these particular sectors as well, and stocks too. Thank you so much. And with that, we'll quickly have a look at how the markets are trading. Just about 14 minutes remaining for the markets to shut shop. Looks like we're going to have a good day yet again. And after that bit of a pause yesterday, the markets have bounced back quite smartly. In fact, we are going to be ending at the day's high with almost a percent uptake for both the benchmarks, 18,259 for the Nifty, 61,769 currently for the Sensex as well. It's near 600 points up in trade as well. It's a broad-based rally, just like how Abhijit really pointed out, and several of the stocks where opportunities still remain despite this kind of a surge in the recent past for the markets. In case you have a stock-specific strategy, then definitely it could augur well for your own portfolio too. And with that, we wrap up this edition. Do stay tuned on to Business Today TV to catch all the updates from the world of business and stock markets. Until then, thanks a lot for tuning in.
Go First is the only latest example of the capacity of the airline sector to shrink fortunes of tycoons all over the world. Flamboyant British